That was probably one of the most disrespectful things she could have said to me. And the reason why is because she was challenging this false identity that I had built.
Many elite swimmers begin dreaming about the Olympics at a very young age. Not Jamal Hill. A Paralympic bronze medalist from Los Angeles, California, Jamal took a different path to greatness than your typical professional athlete. His story is one of self-acceptance, living your truth, and staying committed to your dreams no matter how crazy they may seem. Jamal grew up swimming at his local YMCA until a health scare took him out of the water at the age of 10. After experiencing a sudden paralysis for a few days, he was diagnosed with Charcot-Marie tooth, a hereditary neuropathy that causes nerve damage in the arms and legs and can result in smaller muscles, foot deformities, and difficulty walking.
And when my body kind of woke back up, kind of exited this inflamed state, I was left with 0% nerve capacity from my knees to the soles of my feet, and about 30% from my elbow to my fingertips. So my swimming career kind of stopped at 10 years old.
After his diagnosis, Jamal put swimming on the back burner for a bit at the recommendation of his doctors. According to them, more physical activity would make Jamal's condition even worse. He didn't get back in the water until his sophomore year of high school. He swam seasonally for his high school team for a few years and made the decision to take the sport more seriously as a senior. After a stellar championship season, Jamal was just a few tenths away from qualifying for the California State Swim Meet.
That was probably the most pivotal moment in my swim career by far.
He was given a chance to swim a time trial to qualify for state and make school history. But being the center of attention for such an important race was the exact opposite of what Jamal wanted to do in that moment. After giving the opportunity some thought, Jamal turned it down.
You want me to go back out here on this pool deck after the whole meet, after everybody's done swimming, take one lane, the whole pool to myself, everyone's still there, and they're gonna know right now, based off of how I swim by myself, if I go to state or not. And I have to swim even faster than I just swam ever in my whole life, probably about an hour and a half ago. You're crazy, I'm not doing it.
A factor that influenced his decision was that diagnosis from his childhood. Jamal was keeping his CMT diagnosis under wraps.
And at this point in my life, no one other than me, my mom, and my dad know the struggles I'm dealing with neuropathy. Know how hard it is to frickin' just stand up and walk every day, let alone be out here in the world trying to swim and exercise and not stick out, you know?
At the time, being disabled and talking about disabilities was much more taboo than it is today.
No, nobody wants to be disabled. It's just not something that's celebrated in culture, those differences. So 100%, I was indoctrinated with that same grain of thinking.
And while he thought he made the right decision to stay out of the spotlight and skip the time trial, his father had a different perspective.
And he was just like, man, I wish I'd been there, because I would have pushed you to do it, because you earned that opportunity. And it's never about the result, man. It's about not allowing fear to control our lives.
From that day forward, Jamal approached swimming and life with a new mindset.
Regardless of how things go, whether I actually believe I can do it or not, I gotta start to retrain myself. If I've earned an opportunity, if I've put my best foot forward and that's opened up doors, it's now my responsibility to go and walk through those doors and then take what happens next, however it happens. So,
after finishing his senior year, Jamal headed to Ohio to attend Hiram College and swim for their Division III program. When his freshman season ended, he took full advantage of the off time.
In the summer, my dad's like, dude, shouldn't you be training? Nah, why would I be doing that?
Looking back, Jamal sees now that he was taking swimming for granted.
So often we can do things in repetition, we can do things so long that we don't even realize that we love them. But I didn't even know I was in love, you know what I'm saying? It's like, I'm married at this point. I just made my entire college decision based off of it. But I'm still, I guess, just like a lack of faith, you know, just like not sure where it's going, not wanting to be disappointed.
After a change in coaching staff his sophomore year, Jamal decided to get serious and kick his training into high gear. By his junior year, he was working one-on-one with the school's assistant coach to improve his speed and technique. But there was something looming in the background. He still hadn't told anyone about CMT.
This is the skeleton in my backpack right here. Anytime anyone says anything about my weakness, my range of motion, my lack of flexibility, my inability to jump, my inability to run, my inability to hold things without dropping them on the floor, I just come up with a quick and witty excuse, you know? And it ultimately slap on, I'll do my best and do better next time.
After a less than stellar performance at the conference championship meet, Jamal fell into a mental slump, feeling disappointed that he didn't live up to his full potential. After a few days of moping around his dorm room, he had another epiphany.
If you're feeling this sad and this tore up, you obviously really care about swimming. Right then and there is when I decided, okay, well, super clear. I guess that means I gotta be a pro swimmer.
He was finally leaning into his calling. It had been there a long time, whether or not he wanted to acknowledge it.
I got no choice, you know? Like if I wanna be able to look myself in the mirror, if I wanna be able to have 10 years go by and look back without any regrets, gotta do it.
He immediately got the ball rolling. He dropped out of Hiram College and started looking for sprinting coaches who could help him make the United States Olympic team for the 2020 Games. He was on the hunt for the best of the best, someone who was producing high-level sprinters. He set his sights on Dave Salo at the University of Southern California.
Boom, fly home, start calling this coach every day. Hey, my name is so-and-so, you don't know me, this is my background, but I need to come and swim in your program because it's 2016 and I'm hoping to make the 2020 team for the Olympics at this time. Because not only do other people not know about Charcot-Marie-Tooth, but I'm living in denial about it. I refuse to acknowledge it.
Coach Salo wasn't quick to accept Jamal into his program, though.
Dave Salo, he's like, dude, you're a physics major and a French minor and you're coming from a D3 swim school. Please do not drop out to come and swim in my program. That's the dumbest thing you could do. Finish school, and then if you want to chase your crazy dream, maybe call me back. Eventually Dave understood, like, no, dude, you don't understand. I'm coming. So you can either say yes to me when I'm outside the pool every day, or you can say yes on the phone. He took the easy way out. He said yes on the phone.
While training with the Trojans, Jamal rubbed shoulders with Olympians and learned a lot about what it means to be an elite swimmer. But there was still an elephant in the room: the unexplained reasons why Jamal couldn't do the same things his teammates could.
Part of that is because my disability falls in this invisible spectrum, right? So you can't just see me and necessarily identify me as a limb amputee or maybe somebody who is, you know, dealing with blindness, right? So all this stuff together, people are like, well, why can't you do this? And I'm also looking at these Olympians and they don't look too much different than I do.
He realized that what separates the great swimmers from the best swimmers is the mental and emotional aspect of the sport. And he felt he could find a better fit in a different program. And eventually, he met his current coach, Wilma Wong.
She looks me up and down like everyone, and I said, hey, I want to go to Olympic trials. We can do that.
In mid-2017, Wilma pulled him aside to discuss his progress, or lack thereof.
Eventually, she pulls me aside and she's like, hey, there's something you're not telling me. I'm looking at the way you climb out of the pool, the way you like pick your leg up to pick it up outside the car so you can climb out of the car. Like when you go to dive off the blocks, you never really dive. It's like, obviously you know how to put your arms together, but it looks pretty crappy. Like the way you swim, you're not really improving too much. What's going on?
After years of keeping his condition a secret, it felt good to feel seen by his coach.
So, you know, this is a guy who, again, is living in this defensive form, never wanting to be perceived as a liar or somebody who makes excuses for himself as to why he can't do things, as twisted as that sounds, right? Like, Jesus Christ, bro, you got a whole neurological disease and this is your mindset?
Jamal came clean to Wilma about CMT and how long he'd been living with it. What Wilma said next stopped Jamal in his tracks.
Unless we can cure this, instead of going to the Olympics, maybe we should shift your focus to the Paralympics. And I stopped it right there. At that point in time, that was probably one of the most disrespectful things she could have said to me. And the reason why is because she was challenging this false identity that I had built. And I wasn't ready to accept it, and I wasn't ready to live in that truth yet. And
ultimately, Wilma let it go and they continued training for US trials. But Jamal wasn't totally off the hook. A few months later, while training with an elite swimmer from Britain, the Paralympics were brought up yet again.
He pulls me aside and he says, hey dude, I was looking at the film. I'm 2 meters ahead of you off the dive. Did you know that your legs don't work?
Ironic question.
That is like, dude, no, I actually did know that my legs don't work. Thank you. And he's like, bro, I got mad friends in the Paralympics. I got a blonde buddy, this buddy. You would do great. Stone face. He knows he's crossed the line. It's like, oh snap, I'm sorry, dude. I didn't realize that this was a thing for you.
At this point, Jamal knew he had to act. After 2 identical conversations in the span of 6 months, he felt he needed to step into his truth. In 2018, he competed in his first Paralympic swim meet in the S10, SB9, and SM10 classifications. His sights were set on a national championship win. And while that goal seemed lofty at first, Jamal blew past it. By the end of 2018, he had won 4 national Paralympic titles, and things just kept taking off from there. He competed in the Pan American Games, where he won his first individual international medal for Team USA, a silver in the 50-meter freestyle. But the world's biggest competition was still to come, Tokyo 2020. The COVID-19 pandemic derailed Jamal's training for the Paralympic trials in a good way.
Not only would I probably not won a bronze medal, but I probably wouldn't even made the Tokyo team. Because I still needed development. It still takes time to become great.
With the extra year before the postponed games, Jamal and Wilma doubled down on training. They traveled all over the southern US for Paralympic swim meets to get much needed racing experience under Jamal's belt.
It helped me up-level my mental game, and it helped me start to release those results, being so result-oriented, and just own like, dude, look, no matter how hard I try and me bringing my best, which is always, some things are just out of my control.
And eventually, that dedication paid off. After securing a sponsorship from Speedo, Jamal made Team USA for the 2020 Paralympic Games and went on to win a bronze medal in the 50-meter freestyle. But the journey doesn't stop there. To Jamal, success isn't just about winning medals.
If you're doing what you want to do in life, you're successful according to my book. But after you achieve success, there are levels to it. And the levels that I personally respect the most are when we start talking about not only work ethic, which is massive, when we start talking about the why. And when we start talking about integrity, when we start talking about transparency, when we start talking about what really drives you.
At his core, Jamal is motivated to give back to those who are less fortunate. And he's certainly walking the walk when it comes to using his platform for good and leaving a legacy in the sport.
I wanted a legacy associated with my career. I wanted something that would drive me, right? That could be fueled by my performance, but in and of itself, like, would be speaking to my spirit, would be speaking to my soul, my heart, my heart of service. And I thought no better thing to do than to teach swimming.
Jamal founded Swim Uphill, a nonprofit which aims to teach 1 million people how to swim by 2028.
Dude, people are freaking dying. And in my humble opinion, just not enough is being done about it.
Drowning kills more than 230,000 people per year, according to the World Health Organization. Swim Uphill provides swimming lessons and water safety resources to communities most affected by drowning around the world. Jamal hasn't stopped there though. His latest entrepreneurial effort is the media platform Aquatics Today, which is designed to connect lifeguards, coaches, and other aquatics professionals with the information they need to create flourishing, inclusive swimming communities. When Jamal reflects on his journey, he sees the power in taking advantage of opportunities and dreaming big.
If I was being realistic about expectations or any of that, I would have never started. I have no clue how this is gonna go. The only thing that matters is, again, 2, 5, 10 years from now, when I look back, will I be looking back and saying, well, what if I had tried? Will I be looking back and saying, dang, I really didn't have anything to lose, but now it's not even an option because of age or responsibilities or this or that? I wasn't down for that, dude. Like, knowing me, I would have just beat myself up too bad. I wouldn't have been able to get past it. So I had to go handle that issue.
While Jamal Hill's story is a unique one, it's certainly not over yet. He's positioned himself to be one of swimming's most influential and inspirational athletes, and I can't wait to see what he does next. To wrap it up, I'll leave you with his wise words.
We never know what's gonna happen next. Only thing we can know is, did I do my best? Did I try something that was probably good for me, but was a little scary? But it was something I really wanted. Yeah. That if you don't try it, you definitely don't get what you want.